It's not all in your head. You're not going crazy. And I've been asked so many times, like, how did menopause get such a bad reputation? I was like, because it's so tied up in ageism. And we've done that in the medical system for forever. There's a lot of doctors that don't know what's going on and leave women very confused and feeling very gaslit. They feel like something's wrong with them. And we have to get out of that place.
If someone's suffering, like, I'm eating air and training 7 times a day and I keep gaining weight, how are we directing her?
I want her to know there's...
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. You know, when it comes to life's crossroads, there's never a clear answer. But if you approach the journey with confidence and even openness, it can really lead to something new and unexpected. Few people know this better than my guest today. She's a celebrated journalist, New York Times bestselling author, and advocate for women's health. Through her insights, experiences, and of course, empathy, she's become a mentor to women of all ages, giving them new ways to look at everything from marriage to menopause. I've been a fan of hers for years, and if you're just meeting her today, I guarantee you will be too. Please welcome Tamsen Fadal. With all that you know and learned, and in the 2 buckets of health and being in a relationship, if you were speaking first to a teenage young woman, and then into somebody in their 20s and 30s, maybe we could just go through those decades. What would you want to whisper in their ear? Because I thought, you there's a lot of gold there, and you're going to have an opportunity to share it with a lot of people. Yeah. What would you say to them?
Gosh, I think, I look at all those years and I think a lot about it because I think of the different places I was, whether it was relationships or what I did to my body. And I was abusive to my body during a lot of those errors, not unbeknownst to me, thinking it was the right thing for whatever I was going into next. I would think in those teenage years, and I actually have a nephew who is, and I know it's a little bit different, but he's 14, and I look at what are his ups or downs or what affects him now, right? And I see what a huge weight other people's, thoughts and opinions and pressure is. And it like hurts my heart because I know, where I am now, 40 years older than he is. But if I were talking to a young woman, I think that that's where I would focus it, because I think that that's what has the biggest influence on us at that young age. And like in giving that young woman a base to really understand her confidence and where it can come from, because nobody can take that away from you once you have it. And I think that that's what I would want that young, that teenager to like understand who she is, what's the most important, not being trying not to be in that competitive game all the time and being influenced by other people. Because I think that's really a hard one, and you carry that with you and it grows as you go into your 20s, your 30s, and oftentimes, unfortunately, your 40s.
When you say competitive, because I think sometimes for me, coming through kind of an athletic experience, you learn to work with other very strong women. And so you're weirdly more comfortable being around people that are badass. Yeah. And you also accept that there's going to be people who do certain things way better than you do because you're just around it all day long.
So that's so interesting. I didn't realize that.
Well, yeah. Otherwise,
because you're a member of, because you're a team, part of the team.
I mean, you have single athletes, but still, ultimately, you're still going to have to face on kind of a regular basis. Like, no matter how much training I do, no matter what, this person was born with this thing that I'm just not going to have.
I love that, but that's the mindset that I would want to give somebody, because we're all so different. Like, if everybody had that mindset, but that is what I'm talking about, because I do think that happens at that young age of whether somebody has more, if it's
they're smarter,
prettier, more popular, go to the better school, there's always going to be somebody with more, right? But I think if you can be in that mindset at that age, I would have given anything for it. Anything.
You're still tortured. Don't get me wrong. Like, you still go through. No.
I was like, you're so lucky.
No. Don't get me wrong. You still are a teenager and dealing with that. But you have to face and either make peace with who you are, what sort of your strengths and weaknesses. Because that's the other thing about sport that's sort of interesting. It blows holes in your weaknesses. And it's translated in a physical way in certain things, but also even in competition. Like, I felt the pressure there. I buckled there. I didn't buckle there.
Did you always go back and look at that and see? Because in the TV world, if I had a bad show, I was like, woof. Next, I never had to go back and sometimes I did if you had a consultant come in there and want to rip you apart, but I never, you had to go back and look and study and see and be aware and feel
sometimes it? I think it's this, and this is why I bring it up. If you had 10 bad shows, someone like a producer you trusted would say, hey, can we talk about it?
Yeah.
And then you would look at it. But if your body of work, if like you're doing pretty good in practice and playing, you're usually not going to get hammered for a game because that's actually unproductive.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's unproductive
for you. Yeah.
But there's something where in the moment you kind of know, oof, I wasn't my best.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of in real time always having these challenges that you have to work out, and they're uncomfortable. But then there's some resilience that's getting pushed into there, because the other side of this, right, is to remind people that, male or female, part of this deal that we're doing here that's really helpful is to develop some resilience.
Yeah. To
be like, oh yeah, I wasn't so good. Yeah. Or wow, they're really great and better than me. Or that felt unfair. They got a promotion and I didn't. It's like whatever the million things are that
are going to happen forever.
So I guess when you're younger, it really is, and you talk a lot about, if let's say someone has gone through a divorce or they're single and they're older, it's also having the comfort to be with yourself
in that place. Yeah, it's a comfort and confidence, and it's a grounding in some ways, but it doesn't come easy.
You're obviously a dialed in person, and following a line, and I think you were married in like 2007, something like that, right? So you had a career. Do you think you already had that relationship with yourself at that time? Because let's say 2007, you're sort of an adult.
I was an adult in my career. I was not an adult in my personal life, because everything was my career. Everything. I lost my mother at an early age. I do think that there is something very clear there that, affects you for a very long time, probably forever, because you're always looking for that mother's love. And I actually interviewed somebody for the podcast about mother hunger.
I listened to it.
It blew me away. Like I don't have very many things blow me away, but it really showed me that path backward. But I'd never really paid that much attention to it. I was like, that happened when I was younger. Now I'm older. That should be, have come to terms. I don't know that you ever do, but I'm very aware that whatever that growth was, I was grown up at a young age to deal with that. And then I went into my career. So I understood how to deal with that. When it came to personal life, I don't know that I was as savvy. I don't know that I was so street smart. I don't know that I was so aware. So some of the things that I went into, I should have very much gone, oh, that's not okay. That's a red flag, not a pink flag that I'm going to make, a little bit prettier, make a little prettier and make it all okay. So I had not learned that about myself. It was not until I went through my divorce and went through a very rough marriage and patch and time until I, got out of it and got on the other side of it, and took a lot of therapy and a lot of clarity. And it wasn't just like, okay, will yourself into some good words and everything's going to be okay. Like that doesn't work like that. And so it took time really to get to know who I was. And then when I did, and I wound up meeting Ira, my husband now, I knew exactly who I was. I know who it is. I know who I am. And it allows me to not have to change to be with him. And there's something really, really nice about that.
Yeah.
Nice about it. But it's a lot of rockiness that I wouldn't want somebody else to go through if they didn't have to.
It's so interesting where then maybe too, like if you're in your 30s when you met your first husband, it's like, oh, okay, TikTok, maybe 100%. You should be getting married.
100%.
Maybe if you met that guy at 23 or 4, you would have been like, and then, not.
Yep.
So I often wonder, how much of that just gets in our brains.
Oh, so much.
So it's like, hey, you're, whatever, this age, you gotta.
Your best years. This is you're in your prime.
Or you better do it. You better lock it down soon.
Yep. Yeah. There's not going to be anybody else out there. That 100% happened because I basically had head down and I was trying to get to New York. That was what I did.
Yeah, sure.
So I went to West Virginia and
oh my gosh,
Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, all these places like 6 months, a year, hopping city to city, because then you didn't really start in New York. You started anywhere else. And so I did that and I got to Philadelphia, and this guy who was very opposite of me jumped without nets and, and was, we'll see what happens. And I went, oh, I've never lived like that before. I've had a timeline, go back to the timeline and rules and, lists and everything in my life was done by that. And I was getting to that age where I went, oh gosh, I guess I mean, I got to be serious about this. Everybody else I know is married. They're having kids. They have the second kid. What's going on? And so I did that. And when I look back now and say, like, had I met him at 47 or 46 when I, 47 when I met my husband, it wouldn't have even been a thing. It wouldn't even been a second date. And on the flip side, I don't know if I met my now husband at 34 or whatever, however old I was, 31, would I have said, "Oh, you're the one"? Because I think I didn't know who I was. I wasn't confident enough. I wasn't clear enough. I wasn't resilient enough.
Yeah. And also sometimes what we appreciate, I find as I get older, the things I really appreciate are much more quiet than when I was in my 20s and 30s. And I mean, Laird is a pretty robust person, but the things that I sort of re-fall in love with him for every day are really some of these very quiet traits that I'm like, oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice?
Yeah.
Nice
but it just takes a little experience. So we're talking to our 20 something now, and if she's chosen to go to college or not, whatever, she's just trying to build a life for herself. And, you were very determined and focused, and we get like that, right? We have this plan. I have a plan. Yep. Would you say to her, hey, listen, when it comes to your career and dating, do you just stick to the plan, or do you have a sense of what you want to do, but you stay connected to your instincts so that your life is moving in ways, even though it's scarier?
Yeah, much scarier.
That kind of actually reflects who we are. So how does she navigate that?
Well, I would say that is what I learned at this age, ironically, but I would say, like, it doesn't have to always be time. Like, I hear this time like ticking in these 20-year-olds. I have a couple of 20-year-olds that work with me, and I hear it. I hear the ticking for them. I'm 24. Oh God, I'm 25. And I go, oh, you're 25. That's so nice. And so, I do think if I was that age again, I would love for somebody to say, like, it's okay. You will get where you're supposed to be. It doesn't have to be wandering around, but you can listen.
Would it be fair to encourage women, no matter how type A they are, that ultimately we have to be careful of our planning? I just sometimes think, it's weird. It's like the only way to get it done is to have a sense of it, but to plan ourselves to death sometimes, or plan ourselves away from the changes that we're making and the path that our life is trying to take us on.
Yeah.
So I think also maybe we could invite her to keep listening, because sometimes we're not that smart.
No, I think we're not, and we're not that willing to take a chance. Right. And I think that chances are really hard. It's very hard to take a chance and like go with, your gut or your this feeling that you can't identify. And I think especially nowadays, because we have so many different ways to track everything, right? We can track everything now. And so you can build out this life plan and go along with it. But I think there's so many things that can be missed along the way. And I would hate that for somebody young, because I feel like there's so much opportunity out there and so many exciting things. But I also understand the mindset. I do understand the mindset. I do understand that, like, without determination, without focus, without some kind of clarity, you don't want to be wandering around. But I do think young people are so much older nowadays because they've had so much access to information much faster than we did. I mean, I played outside. Yeah. I didn't go on chat and see what was going to happen. So I think it's a little bit more difficult in some ways. Yeah. In a lot of ways.
I do too. But I think they don't teach us in school that success ultimately is going to be the reflection of your whole self. And so, yes, you can have a plan, but then you're going to meander. Yeah. And it might look a little different than you think.
I think what they teach us in school or society is what's next all the time. And I was asking myself that for a long time, like, what's next? Now what? What's next? And I think that that's what puts us on that time frame. So we go from school to, to high school, to college, to whatever's next. That puts us on that what's next. And I even hear it in relationships, like, when you're younger, you get married, and then what's next? You have a child, you have a child. What's next? Another child? Yeah. What's next after that? So I hear that a lot, and I used to subscribe to it. And I think I don't as much anymore, but it's taken me years to accept that I don't, because I almost feel scared not to in some ways.
Yeah. Well, you talk about, making a dinner reservation for one person, right? Yeah. And I think that's it. Sometimes this is it.
Yeah.
And and again, I'm a good planner. I have all these things, but what I really feel strongly about and encouraging the younger people and trying to remind myself is this is it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, you can strive and dream and build, but this is it. Is this okay?
Is it enough? Is what sadly we keep asking ourselves, but it really needs to be, is it okay?
Yeah. And you say that too, like having this relationship with ourselves. And there's something so interesting when you go, I don't have to prove it. I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I don't have to be the youngest, the prettiest, the most successful, the one with the perfect family. It's like, no, this is just me. This is who I am.
And when you realize that there's no such thing.
Exactly.
And that is a awakening, I think, that we come to, and we're like, oh. And I think I've seen it more as I get older, because I look back and I'm like, oh wow, I thought everybody had everything and everything was so perfect. Everything was, and so it's almost this like, oh, I guess we're all kind of, similar in so many different ways of what winds up being important, right? Yeah. My father is 85, and he said to me, I was like, yeah, someday I'm going to do that. Someday I'm going to do this. Someday I'm going to do that. And he was like, your someday is today. Like, start living your someday today. And I went, I don't know what that means. And now I do. Yeah. I really do. And I think about it all the time. That one word of someday is, because we're always like pushing things, waiting, hoping. And I think it's not until sadly we come up against something that's difficult, then we realize that like, this is it. Mm-hmm. And we better appreciate it. And I probably did learn that at a very young age, but tried to keep moving forward the way everybody else did, but definitely learned it at a young age to be appreciative of each one of these days, years, minutes, hours.
Yeah. So your job is, somewhat physical. Obviously, you're a beautiful woman. You have a beautiful voice. So in your 20s, were you training at all? Were you just restricting your eating? Were you doing cardio so you could be slender? Like, what was your mentality around movement in your 20s?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was a cheerleader for a long time, so I had
which is hard,
and it was in Texas, which is 1,000 billion degrees out. Yeah. And so so you're just sweating all the time. But that was, in my first few years in college, and the problem is I got really into a bad mindset there, because if you had weigh-ins then. And if you didn't weigh right, you didn't perform. And so I think that started a lot of that misunderstanding of, what was important and what was healthy. And so I spent a lot of time like cardio, not really lifting weights, because that just wasn't the thing. I did a little bit of lifting weights because when I moved to Florida, and this was after, when I was now in my workplace, I would go into Bally's gym. Remember Bally's?
Yeah, sure. My friend started it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have a picture of him on my wall, Mr. Don Wildman.
Oh, wow.
He's like the best guy ever.
Oh, that's so cool. Mm-hmm. Well, so Bally's was my place, and I would do an hour like on the Stairmaster, and then I'd go into the boys' weight room, because it was just like a weight room in the back with the mirrors and the black floor and the meatheads back there, right? And I'd be like, I don't know. And there was one girl in there, and I remember she goes, do you know how to do a squat? And I was like, I don't know how to do anything. And so these big guys taught me how to squat. I was in my but I didn't understand the importance of it then, except you're supposed to have a good butt. Yeah. That was all I understood. That was it. It wasn't about bone health. It wasn't about anything else. But unfortunately, what I didn't know is that, strength training and all those things were going to be so important I was going to learn that in the future. So I didn't, I did a lot of if I had enough sweat around the Stairmaster, then I did my job for the day. Yeah. Movement. I think I did the movement from the dance team and from cheerleading. But otherwise I just didn't know any of those things. The gym wasn't where women were going that they were like, be on the stationary bike, do the Stairmaster, and I'd go for a bike ride with my mom. Like, that was about it when I was younger. Yeah. So that's why I love what women have learned at such a young age now. That's where the advantage is in so many ways. It's why I love when young women are asking questions for themselves and for their mothers on our social all the time. All the time.
I'm just curious, because I did not date when there was dating apps and things like that. Yeah. And young people are really dealing. Yeah. Oh, geez. I was listening to these two women debate. They were sort of both feminists. Mm-hmm. Let's just call it that. I don't know, really. That word has taken on a lot of different forms. And it was sort of like, oh, we've gotten supposedly everything we want.
Right.
And yet we're sort of, we meaning women, getting actually less of what we want. Because a dating app is variety. And in general, men would appear to prefer overall biologically variety more so than women. Pretty much if we're going to have a sexual encounter, generally a man's going to be more satisfied easier than women. I mean, we're a little more complex. And so now we're sort of at this place where it's like, I have a liberation, and now in a way I'm getting less of what I want. And so I'm just curious what you have learned and how we can encourage, 20s and 30-year-old women. What's the dance? Is there a protocol? Like, if someone doesn't get back to you, it's because I'm clueless about this. I would love to just say, hey, can you meet people in the wild?
Right. I know.
So you can look them in the eyeballs, you can smell their breath, you can watch how they move. But that's not what they're dealing with. So when you were in this space and are in this space, this is where they're meeting each other.
It's where they're meeting each other. It's interesting. The very first book I wrote was Why Hasn't He Called? Which will tell you everything, like who's calling now. I guess I don't even know if anybody calls anymore. I mean, I still do, but most people don't, right?
This
I know.
kills me.
I know. And there was a telephone on the cover of the book. I mean, that's how old the book is.
And people are like, what is that?
Nowadays, it'd be like, what was that design on the cover of the book? But I mean, the dating apps changed everything. There's no question about that. I still do believe and subscribe to the fact that, people still meet people in person, but I don't think it's quite so easy. And I think that they've gotten faster and faster and faster, right? You don't go home and log on anymore. You open a phone and then you're going one way or the other way and making a decision in 2 seconds. And so I think that that's just really, it's difficult. I find it to be a numbers game. I don't think that it's, that people are not meeting. There are some people that meet. There's a lot of women I see that get really disappointed by it, especially later on in life. And, but I do think being young and that being the way that you're starting to date is tough, really tough. And so I'm hopeful that people stay aware that is not the only option out there.
I often think too, and I don't know, this might be really naive on my part, but our technology has changed, our biology hasn't. And so we are mismatched, our environment and our biology. It's a mismatch. We're living, whether we're sitting or the food we're eating or whatever. I believe if you had the courage to walk around in your life, not on your phone, even when you're uncomfortable, look at people in the eye. Hey, how's it going today? Doesn't mean everything's like, I'm trying to find a mate. But that's your practice. Whether it's the woman that you're buying a, coffee from, whatever it is, I believe we're signals, we're antennas. And, people always go, oh, be the thing you want, you'll attract it. There is something to that. Your antenna, your signal, where when we're shut down into this phone, I think our signal is dampered. So it's like, could you encourage, even if they did it collectively, like 2 or 3 girls go out.
Which I love that idea.
And then say, okay, tonight we're not going to be on our phones when we're at this club or bar, even though that's to me, whatever. Or even the health club might be a better place because that would be a value. And just go up and be like, hey, good morning. And hello. Human. And because I still think we're all yearning and starving for that.
We are.
To connect that way. So maybe they could start a sort of an overcorrection movement.
I feel like sometimes I feel like that's taking place, but I don't know that I've really seen it out and open, but I think it has to be that way. We can't get that much further down the line with everything we've got going on. Like what do we do past the apps and all that kind of stuff? And you're right. If you step back, New York, where I've spent a lot of time and I look and I watch people crossing the intersection on the sidewalks, everybody's heads down. Everybody's heads down, unless they hear a big noise or there's somebody yelling or there's something that's out of the ordinary that their antenna goes up for. Most of the time, no one's paying attention. So it is hard to meet people. Forget about love. It is hard to just establish relationships with people or smile at somebody. So it would be nice to encourage that. I don't know, because even in school now, like most of the kids have their phones all the time. I know there's like different schools have different rules, but I don't know how we get past that unless we make a really concerted effort to do that.
And I know it's almost like, it's like people think you're a creeper too. If you're like,
if you're looking at them.
I joke that I use my size and the fact that I'm a female. I bully everyone.
Into paying attention to you?
Yeah.
Or to talk.
Hey, good morning. Hi. And if I smile at people, you see them go like this.
They're like startled.
And I'm just like, no, we're smiling at each other. And because I am a woman, it gives me permission. And I think what women also have to
Do you
understand.
think they feel safer?
Yes. Yeah. I think women have to understand that in a way, we don't understand our power in the best way, which is we always have permission to say hello to people and to greet them first. Another woman, I love your dress. Hey, how are you? To a gentleman, how's it going? You know, it doesn't mean, because you can say hello to somebody and not make it like trying to hook up.
Yeah, everything doesn't have to be a sexual connotation at the end.
But we have permission. Men don't have the same permission.
No, they have a much harder time. It's funny,
unless they're 80.
Right. No, you're exactly right.
You know, and they
unless
can be
they're
like,
little boys and cute, or they're 80.
It's like, okay.
Right.
So I think sometimes for us, it's also giving ourselves practice and permission. I know it's wildly uncomfortable. I think it's
isn't it funny that's important. Uncomfortable?
Well,
it is though.
Our brains are getting rewired completely differently.
They're completely rewired differently. Yeah. I've noticed. I don't know if I've noticed when I do put my phone aside, I'm so much more relaxed. I'm like, oh, nobody can get me for a second, and I can actually like focus on where I am. So I've tried to make an effort to do that. But I imagine being young and having that be the only thing you know. The only thing you know.
Well, that's it. And your brain's rewired.
And your brain is wired starting there, not even rewired.
Speaking of, you're kicking ass online. How do you put parameters around like how much that bleeds into your life? Because now it's your work.
Yeah, I have to.
How do you do it? Do you have a system? Do you have
I try. I had a harder time when I was doing the news full out because I was doing the news full out and this full out. So it was just, I was constantly consuming news on my phone to be able to do my job and to do this. So it was just, I felt like I was in double time for a while. I feel a little bit better now about it because I try to do things in increments. Like I try to get out in the morning and go for this walk that I do almost every day, just because it gets my head out the door. And I can actually feel it now when I don't do it, especially in New York. I was in my office there for a while. It was like hours and hours and hours. And I was looking out the window and I felt like myself like yearning. It was very bizarre. I'd never felt like that before, but it had been after several months of it. I didn't get my time.
Do you go with Ira or do you go with by alone?
I'd go with him like on a Friday, Saturday or Sunday, but I usually go by myself. Nice. Yeah. And I like that.
So if someone comes to you, I was thinking about this, like, I feel like in some ways, 20s is hard for certain reasons as far as like, I have to build myself. I even I have daughters that are in their 20s, and I was talking to one of them, and I just want to remind people that if you're younger, but you have a job to do and you need people to get back to you, it's okay to nudge them. Sometimes they get into a thing where they don't know how to ask again. And I'm like, people are busy and they forget. You can say, hey, I'm just putting this to the top of your pile. And because you're sort of not sure how much you're allowed to assert yourself and all of that. And so that has its things, and you're trying to figure out who you are and all those things. And then you're in your 30s and all of a sudden it's like, I'm supposed to figure out this life stuff, relationships, if I'm going to do the baby thing. Stuff. Yeah. So a lot of women, they're in pursuit, which I think is really good. I always tell my girls, be in a relationship, and the only thing that keeps you there is because you want to be there. Don't.
Only thing.
From very early, I always had my own money. When I met Laird, I was financially had more opportunity than he did at that time. The only reason to be in a relationship is because that's where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And I can see also where people get stuck with children. And I don't mean children make you stuck, but all of a sudden you have a lot to consider.
Sure.
Like I have these kids.
More things.
And if you don't have financial independence, that becomes complex. So going into it, I always say to them, hey, listen, it's really important, at least for a while, to know how to stand on your own 2 feet, because you really want to choose from a place of what you want. And the other thing that I try to encourage them, I always thought, I'm looking for someone who excites me. Yeah. I'm not looking for someone who will love me. I'm looking for someone who I can love. Yeah. Because that's the only part I can control.
It's 100% right.
And I think it's so interesting because women go out there and it's like, do you think I'm pretty? Do you think I'm smart? It's like, hey, they're going to think whatever they think. Mm-hmm. Look for somebody that you think you can love.
Yep.
And start there. So I've thought a lot about that over the years. And what if you have somebody who comes to you, they're in their 30s, they've been in a relationship for a couple of years. There's always that invested time, which I think is funny, right? Rip the cord.
Yes.
And they go, yeah, but I'm 33, 4, 5. And,
Who am I going to meet?
Yeah. And or maybe I should break up, because it's maybe not the guy. What are the questions that we say to her to ask herself?
Oh my gosh. Those are the ones that excite me the most.
This podcast is brought to you by Kion. So there's been a lot of attention, more and more attention being paid to the importance of building muscle always, but certainly as we age. So whether you're training hard already, getting back into a routine, or just trying to stay strong, that's how I feel. It can feel like it's getting harder almost as the years pass. So here's what a lot of people don't realize. You cannot build muscle without essential amino acids. They're also known as EAAs. So your body doesn't make them on its own. So you actually have to get them through your food or supplements. And that's exactly why I added Kion aminos to my routine. So unlike branched chain amino acids, which only provide 3 of the essential amino acids, Kion puts all 9, and it gives you the complete profile your body truly needs. So Kion contains more EAAs. It's easier to absorb and utilize, and gives your muscle exactly what they need to grow stronger. Another thing I personally love about Kion is its impact on recovery. So for me personally, I don't want to be training and then be sore and wiped out days after. It just helps you keep going. So since using Kion aminos, I have noticed that bounce back quicker, and I'm better able to stay consistent with my workouts, which we know is the key to real progress. It's so important to me to stay strong, mobile, and active for life. And I really respect what Kion is doing. They use a transparent formula, clearly listing the amount of each amino acid, so there's no fluff and no hidden blends. Plus, their ratios are based on 20 plus years of research, so you know you're getting something truly effective. So if you've been struggling to put on muscle or feel like you're not recovering the way you used to, give Kion aminos a try. You can save 20% right now when you use my link, getkion.com/Gabby Reece. That's getkion.com/Gabby Reece, GETKION.com/Gabby Reece. And you know what the best part is? There's a 60-day money-back guarantee, so there's absolutely no risk. You can try it and see how it fits into your life and your routine, see how you're feeling. All you have to do is go to getkion.com/Gabby Reece.
Because I feel like that's just such a clear thing. Like anytime someone is asking me what they should do about a relationship or questioning it at all, then it's done already. It's done before the rest of the question gets out. And it's hard to hear that. It's really hard. Yeah. But I'd rather invest 3 years than 6 years, and 3 years than 9 years, or 3 years and 30 years. And the longer you're with somebody, the more those things that we're talking about happen. And I guess I look at relationships a little bit differently. Like now I say, like, who do I want to walk the world with? Like I want to walk the world with Ira. Like I have a great time with him. He builds me up. I hope I build him up. But I don't need him to build me up, but I like it. And it's fun. And I look forward to being with him. And I just remember those relationships where I'd be like, I've got to get home, or, oh, he's so embarrassing, or, oh, it's just not completing. Yeah. And those are those feelings, those little feelings in there that you feel, those little feelings where you just go, this is done. And it's really hard because we attach a lot of those time frames, 3 years. Like, oh, I've invested 36 months in this. Where am I going next? Or I'm coming up against this 35 mark, which I don't know how 35 became.
It's a wild number.
It's a wild number. But this 35
because when you go to the doctor, by the way,
yes,
if you have a pregnancy after 35,
I didn't know that.
They changed the name of it.
I know they do.
And then all of a sudden there were tests and all this stuff around it.
Now you're like in the different category.
It's like a geriatric pregnancy.
Yeah. I had no idea about that.
It's all around.
It's all around. And, and I've been asked so many times, like, how did menopause get such a bad name or reputation? I was like, because it's so tied up in ageism. And we've done that in the medical system for forever. And we're still there right now. We've still got so much to unravel. But going back to that 30-year-old, I mean, I think that if you're in a place right now where there's any question, none of those things can be part of the conversation. Yeah. None of those, because anything that right now you have questions about in 3 years, imagine 5 years, imagine 10 years. And I did it. I did it firsthand. And I knew in the first year of being with my ex-husband that it was probably not the place for me to be. And I was against it, what I thought was a time crunch, had focused on my career so much, thought I could make some changes, thought maybe it was all just me. And then in the end had to unravel something that got really, really messy.
Yeah.
And had I wished that somebody had said to me, just go now.
Did you have any girlfriends that were like, or you seem very independent
I am.
and kind of focused. It doesn't seem like somebody would insert themselves.
No, I had one friend who's an attorney, and she was really the one, not a divorce attorney. She was the only one that was able to be that, you mean
when you were married or prior to being married?
No, she met me when I was... Oh no, she met me prior to being married.
Okay.
And then through the dating of that.
Did she do like, are you sure?
100%.
Oh, jeez.
Everybody did. Everybody did. Like people at work, she did. But everybody around me. I walked down the aisle and my father said to me, I'm trying to think of the year now. I'm so confused.
What, that you were married?
Yeah.
2007. I think I read it.
How terrible is that?
It's good.
2007,
That's good.
I said to my father, do you think I'm doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Walking down the aisle.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And he reminded me of that when I,
your dad probably was like, Whoop.
He was like, well, do you think you're doing the right thing? And I go, I guess, I don't know. I guess, yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's really nice. And, yeah.
Oh, nice. The kiss of death.
I go, maybe it's just nerves.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if it's not right for you.
So it took an attorney.
And maybe, of course, if it's not right for you, if you go, hey, I'm not sure. I think going to therapy with somebody, because by the way, certain therapists are okay to say, hey, maybe you guys should 100%. Look at not being together.
100%.
So it isn't always about mending everything. It's maybe about a deeper exploration.
I think it's about looking at it from a different perspective. It's definitely looking about. I don't think there's always solutions to everything. And by the way, if you're in therapy while you're dating, like I don't. That's a lot. That's
or
a
like
lot.
Maybe I can learn to love him. That's my other favorite.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll learn. It's like, oh no.
He's going to be a good dad.
Yeah. Oh God.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you, when you were in your 30s, did you think you wanted to have children?
I in the last year of our marriage, I did go to a fertility clinic to discuss options. And I was just so much older at that point because I just didn't know. I think that I did a lot of my caretaking at a very young age with my mother. I mean, I took care of her all those years.
She was diagnosed. She was sick when you were 14 and she passed away at 20.
Yeah, when I was 20 years old. So it was
such a
lot
very
of
difficult time. Too.
Yeah, a time that I didn't really,
well, you're becoming, people don't realize when you're going through puberty, it's the hardest time to lose somebody and also to go through someone being divorced.
Yeah. And
hard.
It was just, that time was a lot of growing in there that, I don't know how I did. But I'm very aware that that was just a huge pivotal part of my life. And then I did it with her mother too, because after I lost my mother, I took care of my grandmother. Oh, so I did a lot of that. So when I hit 23 years old, I was like, I gotta do my thing. Yeah, I gotta go do my career, my timeline, and all these things. So that's what I jumped to. And so I did look at that, but I was in a relationship that was mentally and physically abusive. And it was a relationship that wasn't a relationship to bring children into. And it was, and now that I look back, I can say it in a more, very clear way, but in it at the time, I was like, am I doing the right thing? Because remember, we've been so ingrained, like this is what you're supposed to do next.
Yeah, this is the move.
And that's the move. And I didn't have anyone to talk through with. I didn't have the mother. I didn't have the grandmother. So I just didn't, know. And I'm grateful now that I didn't make a decision based on, that's what I should do. And I made a decision based on where I was at the time. And so I think that's part of the reason, full circle, that the mentorship of young women has become such a big part of my life, though I didn't ever see that coming. I never saw that coming. Yeah. Yeah, ever.
Well, it's funny. I had a college volleyball coach. I'm still very close to her. And I always will call her on Mother's Day. She didn't have children. Her and her partner, they didn't have children. I said, but you've had like hundreds of daughters. Nice. And the power of somebody mentoring somebody, listen, and by the way, I love my children, honestly, and I have learned more being a parent than in any situation in my life, but people love to romanticize it. And that's unfair. It kicks your ass in so many ways. And I've said this many times. there's a joy and some kind of experience that, yes, is unique to that dynamic. But if you think you're going to be happier,
Right. Yeah.
that's not true. It's an unfair
I'm so glad you say that, because I think it's important
that people say, because it's not that. It's many things, but it's not that. And it's an unfair thing that we sell. And also the richness that we can experience in helping each other, and you using your life's experience and being like, hey, I went through that. It was brutal, but look at all this good stuff that came out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't know. You know?
I know. And I'm glad you said that, because I think it's really important for young women to hear that too. I know several that right now are trying to figure out, what they want to do. And those are real decisions and a lot of questioning of like what they want and what they want their life to look like, or what they think is important, or if now's the right time. And so I think it's important to not romanticize that, and I probably did for a long time, because my mother was a stay-at-home mom, and that was everything to her. That's what she loved, being a mother more than anything else. Yeah. So that is what I saw, but it just really, it was not in the cards for me. And it took me a long time to reconcile that, because it wasn't a conversation you had. I was doing the morning news for a long time, and they really wanted, you'd be one of the news anchors to be like, okay, I got my kids off to school today. And I would sit there and be like, oh, how...
You'd be like,
start of school?
You'd be like, bitches, my house is organized.
It's like, my closet's all labeled. And so, it was just very, it's just very different. And so there was a lot of that pressure that I felt, but I'm very grateful that I didn't do that during that time, to be attached to that person, and God forbid, bring a child into the world and have that child be attached to that. Yeah.
I've been in a long relationship. I've been with Laird almost 30 years and married almost 28 years. And we certainly, I've talked openly about, I think the first 12 years of our marriage had some interesting dancing, learning. You don't come into it with skill sets.
No.
And we almost blew it up a couple times. But I have looked at the idea of what is success in a relationship. I've seen it. It could be like you were married to somebody for 5 years, and even if it was a good marriage, but like that was the success of that marriage. Or people like, you have the long ones, 20. I mean, I'm in a long one. So people will be like, oh, it's like, oh, that's the ideal they sell you.
Yeah.
But what I know is every single day I wake up, and I believe Laird's on the same page. And I say, okay, I'm going to show up today. I'm going to be my best today. I'm going to earn it today. And we'll see how it goes.
That's great. Though.
I don't go, well, we're going to lock this down for 60 years. It's like, that's not actually how it works.
No, it's not how it works.
And so I think when sometimes people, maybe they were in a long relationship, I feel like women get spit out differently from a long relationship and maybe kids, and they sort of go, wait a second, now I'm, 40, now I'm in my late 30s, now I'm 50.
Right.
And you talk a lot about, it's not a failure. It's a redirection.
It's not a failure.
It isn't a failure. And sometimes I think what's hard is if you feel like you were of service to this thing, this family, this marriage, and then you got spit out. Maybe it wasn't even your choice.
Yeah.
So how do we get her to embrace the redirect? What are some of the steps? Is it, hey, like we got to get back into ourselves, our health, our friendships, our hobbies? Like, what does that look like? Because I know women must talk about that.
Yeah, I think they do a lot. And I think that there's a lot of confusion that comes with it during this time, especially because you've gone, as I see on the, on the side of midlife, all these years of about 20 years, especially if you have kids, there's this 20 years of like, that's what I did. Even if I was working the 10 jobs, this is what I did and what I committed myself to. But I think that other side is, it's time. It is patience with yourself. It's not being afraid in those moments of being alone on a Saturday night or a Wednesday night. Like those are the things I think that trip us up a lot, because we've got to fill, right? And we want to fill faster, and we want to get it back to normal as quickly as possible. And so I think that time is the hardest. But that's where I do think a lot of good community comes into play. And I don't think I understood the word community until maybe the last 4 years. I really didn't. I knew friends, and I got that, and it was good. I didn't understand that community is real strength. I heard the words, I processed the words. I didn't really understand it. And when I was, spit out from that relationship, part of that was there was a business, there was the marriage, there was on air, there was a public divorce. It was just like all these little things. And I went, I just want to go hide like for a very, very long time and just kind of get my life back to normal. And I realized that's not what was going to happen. And so I spent a lot of time alone, and realizing that not that independent time alone, it was just that time alone to go, where did you go? And who are you going to be tomorrow? And those are hard questions to ask yourself, but I had lost a lot of myself. I'd stopped traveling, something I loved doing. I was watching television every night. I never turned on a TV for 20 years or 10 years because I was in television. Like, last thing I wanted to do was watch TV. I, was doing things that just didn't serve me, but to make the relationship feel whole or feel like it was for me. And so I think that it's time. I think that it's, being patient with it, not trying to fill those voids all the time, not putting all the pressure on the kids to help fill that void, because we see that oftentimes as kids get older and parents get older. And I think that that's hard. And I think it's also really paying attention to what you want, so you're not repeating that over and over again. And that's, what often happens. We get out of one relationship and then we're like, oh, I got that. And then we wind up in a very similar one. Yeah. Which is, what I did right at the beginning of my divorce. Like, we had separated and I went back to somebody I had dated before, which was like the worst. So
my favorite.
No one told me that.
Do you ever meet people, and I feel like I've seen it more in men than women, where they have a first wife and her name is Sarah, and then they get divorced and then he has a second wife, her name is Sarah, and you're just like, didn't you do that already? Like, I've seen that. Like, I've seen that a lot.
I know. I've seen it before too, and it's crazy.
See it more with men.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if it's because they just not going to remember the other name or. What are you doing? Just keep going. Find somebody else. I know. I don't understand that.
Was there something that you had to face, or some kind of truth when you got this divorce that really just was, really powerful for you, that helped you in this? Something either about yourself or about going, wait a second, holy cow, I've been living by the rules of the world, and it's led me to a place that actually is not a reflection of me at all.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't understand how I got there, but then I really actually knew, because if I looked back at all those things, I knew, and I ignored it all because I thought, well, this is what you're supposed to be doing right now. If you don't do this right now, what are you going to be? I mean, remember, this is a time where 35 is old, 40 is ancient. I mean, it really was. It really was. And we talk about it now, but there was no 40 is the new 40. 40 was like old, and especially in television, because in TV it was,
well, that's it.
The youth. And so I was always very aware of that from people that had come up before me, and they were like, you get your years in while you're young. And so I think I bled that over into relationships and life, and that's just kind of how we were then. And so I thought that was the right place for me to be. And I think when I look back on it, what I learned was I was dancing in somebody else's, somebody else's ballroom. Like, I wasn't even my own life. I was going through motions. It didn't make any sense to me. I was going to work every day robotically, and that actually was my safe space. I was coming home and going through motions of like, this is how you're supposed to make dinner and do this, but and I don't even know who I was. And I look back on it and I'm like, whoa. What were you doing? And I can even see in pictures, like, just not totally there. Yeah, not totally there. And so I don't wish that for anybody. And I think that's probably why I talk about relationships so much, because I'm like, man, if I wish I had known that, like, why didn't anyone tell me that? Why didn't anybody say like, hey, wake up. You don't seem like you've got this together. And it's funny, people will tell you after the fact. I mean, they did question at the beginning, and I'm like, they're jealous, or they don't know who I am. This is where I'm, who I'm supposed to be with. Yeah. But I look back now and I'm like, wow, when I see somebody in a relationship like that, I say something, like, not in a crazy way. Yeah, I don't want a friend to hate me, but I just try to bring some kind of awareness, because you can see that better from the outside than the inside a lot. Yeah.
I won't even go to weddings that I know or.
Oh, that's good.
I'm like, I'm not going to bear witness to this.
No,
I have people say, and I go, I'm not going to come. I
won't be able to attend.
I get it. I won't make it.
I get it.
I think what happens too, I grew up in a really unconventional way. And so I never had a picture I had to fit in.
Oh, that's good.
And I think what happens to a lot of women is, here's the picture, and then morph yourself into that.
Yes, 100%.
And I think we have to blow that up. And that's what we
do have to blow it up.
Yes, with a lot of women, That's what happens, I think, at 50. I have a friend who calls it the FU 50s. Is you shape shifted and you know all this stuff, and then you're just kind of like, hey, it doesn't, that never worked, and you get over that. So let's encourage younger women that you don't have to be brutal to do this. You can just say, hey, this isn't for me. This is for me. This is what I like. This is what I want. This is what I want to do, and just encourage them that they can do that. Which brings me to menopause, because a lot of times you hear this a lot. Women will say, I feel invisible. They look at it as a loss, like, okay, you're not any longer, supposedly reproductively, you're not viable in that way.
Best years are behind you.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Isn't that crazy?
I have a new thing about age.
Tell me.
I've been looking at this for probably the last 3 or 4 years. When I think about age, I think, I'm alive. I'm not dead. Yeah. So when people are like, it's like, oh, you're 30, 40, 50. Yes. And guess what? I'm alive.
I know.
And I think as you get older, it's sort of having a different relationship with the numbers game, because in 20 years, I'll be 75 and the runway is shortening.
Of course.
But when we go back to like right here, right now, I'm alive.
I know.
And so much experience. These women that go like, oh, the best years are behind you. It's like, no, think about the lived experience. And in a world of data, what I want to say to people, we talk about all the time. Yeah. Data me to death. Talk to me about experience.
Experience is everything. It's everything that's going to inform what you do next. It's everything that is going to make those next times, years, whatever you've got ahead of you, bring you peace. Like I really do believe that. I really do. Like I watched my father lose my mother and stepmother. Yeah. And is thriving at this age. 2 women he loved, 25 years each one, with very sad, breast cancer both. And so I was like, he's never gonna. How could anybody come out of this? But he had this, like those beautiful times and beautiful marriages and beautiful love. And my stepmom was his bride up until the very end. Like that's what he would call her. But I know he's so appreciative that he is here and that he can see his grandson and he can see, all these different things. So I've learned that appreciation from that and being alive to this. And that's where it goes back to the someday, and having that wisdom to know what we've been through. And I think that's oftentimes when I see somebody struggling or in pain, I'm like, oh my gosh, let me help fix it. And I know that we can't do that because somebody has to go through their own lived experiences or learned experiences. But I hope that it kind of like they have a little reminder in the back of their head of like, oh, maybe somebody told me something about that. It'll help guide me somehow.
And in How to Menopause, your book, if someone is, because, okay, you have the sort of the, rite of passage, let's call it that. I think there are real clear steps, and you talk about it in the book. And maybe we could just talk about a few of those for people. It's like, and yes, there's some changes.
Totally.
It's like teenage brains, they go through a pruning. Literally. Yeah. That's why a teenager can come home and be like, everything's great. And the next day they're like, I want to jump off the roof. Yeah. Because literally the things that we don't need anymore, like how to tie your shoe, your brain is going, cool, we're going to prune that out because we need new things and other things. New input. Yep. So I look at menopause like, hey, there's certain things you're not going to need. It's dynamic, it's complex. So there's parts of it that are uncomfortable. Yeah. I've experienced some of it. I think I experienced less of it because of my lifestyle all the way through. But by the way, I do wake up at 2 and 3 in the morning and have to almost go, yeah, this is not how I'm feeling.
Yep.
I don't actually feel this way. I'll even just, and I'm now currently in the process of getting my blood work done and looking if something's low or high and getting in there and looking at hormones and things like that and doing it in a way that feels good and that I trust. But maybe we could just sort of say if someone's suffering, like I'm eating air and training 7 times a day and I keep gaining weight.
I was like, air?
No, I have friends that are like, at this point, I'm eating air.
I know they are.
So what are we encouraging her? How are we directing her? Is it, hey, get our blood work done? Because we're not going to accept from the doctor, this is how it is.
No.
Fire your doctor. No. By the way, you're allowed to fire your doctors.
Yes, you are. Please.
How do we encourage her? Because this is new for a lot of women of this age to go, well, wait a minute. You mean there's like a specific kind of language around menopause and treatments for it?
It's new. I want her to know it's new to a lot of doctors in terms of having the conversation. So that's the first place. So I think, when I set out to write that book, I really, at first it was going to be, as a journalist, like who, what, where, when, how, why. That was what it was going to be. And I was like, just the facts. I'm going to give her all the facts. And then as I sat in it and I had brain fog a lot of times. I would sit there and I'm like, okay, the woman that's showing up to read this book or is picking this book up doesn't know what to expect, is probably going through perimenopause in a big way, doesn't even know it yet, may not even know the word, is not sleeping and waking up, eating air and, and working out, 50 times a week and feeling feel like she's in a different body and doesn't know who she is. So what does she need to know? And there was two things. One, that, it's not all in your head. You're not going crazy. Right. And the second one is you're not alone in this and there are solutions. And so I think that once we could get past those two things, because I didn't even know when I went into this, I didn't know there was a perimenopause. I had no idea. So when I went into it, and a lot of women don't even know they're dealing with something. So they're at the worst case scenario, like, is it dementia? Is it my heart? There's some scary things that come up to you, right?
Yeah. I had AFib for a while.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. There's some scary, real things that you're like, oh, this is a real thing. Mm-hmm. So did you get past it? Are you still dealing with that?
Oh, no, I passed it. Okay. I took a little bit
all part of it.
Of testosterone to alleviate because it would come later in the day.
Yep.
And I did that for about 2 years and it took care of it.
It's unbelievable.
I actually, Dr. Vonda Wright,
of course.
She's a badass.
Yeah.
But she was talking about her own experience of like, you're in surgery and you don't remember, names of instruments.
Yes.
And this is a whip smart, bang iron, eat good, go get it lady. Yes. So it's just normalizing it. The other thing my hope is though, is that we don't wring our hands. I think sometimes with women, we get into this thing of like, oh, divorce and my menopause. It's like, you know what? Let's get in there and let's solve it.
Yeah.
To the best of our ability. Yep. Some things it's like, hey, that's just the best it's going to be. But it doesn't have to be like.
I hope we don't do that. I agree with you. I agree with you 100% because I feel like we already have enough things that we feel like, oh, it's a weakness, it's a less than, it's a da. And I guess I think with this one and why I did the cover even kind of bold because it's funny, the first few covers that were recommended to me, they were like heaven or like a bird. And I went, what? Yeah. No, we're not dying. We're living. I was like, bold, big, happy. But I really wanted that book to convey confidence for women. So they feel like, hey, here's what's going on. I know what it is. I can be practical about it and I can move forward. And here are the solutions. I can do this, I can do this, and I can do this. And then I'm going to get to that next place and it's going to be okay. Not, oh gosh, this is the era I have to live in now for the next 30 years. What do I do? That worried me a lot with the book. So I really wanted it to give women confidence. And then I also wanted to make sure that any of the barriers that they had were solvable, right? To the best of my ability that you can do with a book, which is your doctor says this, here's the script, fire the doctor if it's not right. Understand that the doctor might not know very much more than you because they maybe had an hour to a week to a month of education. And that's not all doctors. There are some doctors that are brilliant. You've named a few of them that I adore and follow and am friendly with. And so, and respect the heck out of. But there's a lot of doctors that don't know what's going on and leave women very confused and feeling, we use the word gaslit a lot. They feel very gaslit. They feel very like something's wrong with them. And we have to get out of that place. We have to save them from that area because if you feel like you're going into there with no confidence and no real solutions,
you get railroaded too.
You're railroaded or you can't even pick yourself back up to get to the next place to fix it.
And that's the thing too, sometimes I've seen this a lot in I don't want to call it wellness, but let's just call it feeling well. Mm-hmm. It's like you can't even get in front of it to get the perspective and the frame of mind to create a strategy, to get your blood work done, to consider hormone therapy. Right. So it's really also this having a little bit of grace with yourself. But like you said, and that's what I really appreciate about the book is a strategy.
Yes. You have to have something like it
to lean on.
And I wanted it to also, we don't all come by menopause the same age, the same time. Mm-hmm. Perimenopause starts differently. It's all over the place. It's the before of menopause, leading up to it. Menopause is just one day, 12 months without your period. That's what it is. And then everything else is post-menopause, but I say menopause because it's easier for me to remember. And And then, but to be aware of all of those things and not have to feel like, I just don't know what to do. Is there a magic pill? Because that's when we get sold all the other stuff, right? Of like, if you just do this and this, it'll all be fine. That's not necessarily the case. There's a lifestyle component. There's a hormonal, non-hormonal option. And there's a place of looking at things like, right now I do estrogen patch, progesterone, testosterone, and vaginal estrogen. Like all of that's part, my getting ready routine went from 5 minutes of maybe taking off my makeup to 25 minutes to make sure that every part of my body had, some kind of moisture on it. And right? It's really changed. I used to hop into bed like, I'll get the mascara off in the morning. And now I'm like, everywhere.
You break down a lot too. Like, I talk about protein all the time on this show. Sure. And, just to remind people, you're pretty much getting 30 grams ish at every meal. And it's interesting because coming through performance, and it was actually Stacy Sims that really helped me with this. Laird and I would be like, we're going to fast and do all this stuff. And I would want to kill somebody. And he's like, I'm feeling more and more energy. And I thought, this is so stupid. And then of course I learned, this is not good for me. This is fine for him.
Right.
This is not going to work for me. So there's a lot of information about, fasting and the importance of protein. Mm-hmm. Women don't want to hear it, but it's important.
It is.
You got to have it. We can start to lose muscle, but it's the only way to really protect and defend. And it's so hard to get. I have lifted weights and banged iron for very close to 40 years. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it's like every little increment and just keeping your strength. So it's
a real thing.
Redefining your relationship with muscle for women and really learning to love it, appreciate it, value it, and protect it.
And not be intimidated by it to the best of your ability. Because if you haven't done that, I didn't really understand when I was working on the chapter, and movement was an easy, fun one for me. And then I got into the, body and working out and what that looks like, and protein. And when I got into the working out, when I was talking with a woman that I was running everything by, and I did my workout and I wrote it down. I was like, you're gonna do squats and you do lunges, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes, can we talk about that chapter of what you wrote of your workout? And I go, yeah. And she was like, I don't know what you're even talking about with that stuff. I've never been to the gym or never lifted weights. I don't do any of that. I just have wrist weights when I walk. And I was like, wait, what? And so I had to we actually took that part out and did a QR code to make sure we have different levels of it, because I had no idea. Like I was naive to think that like, okay, everyone's going to be okay with just lifting 5, 10, whatever it is. So that was a learning curve for me to understand that we all are very different in what we've looked, and whether it was age or not. And so it made me write that a little bit differently. And I actually really enjoyed it, because then I went, oh, now I see a full picture of we've got to go back to real basics, not like, this is where we start and do better. It's like we have to come back here to real basics for a lot of people right now.
Yeah. And people have to realize too, that sometimes, like for me to make improvements, it's like 1% at a time. Yeah. Actually, if people haven't started, they have so much opportunity for growth.
Yeah, they do.
And their joints aren't crushed, right? Like my joints, I have a fake knee. It's like, so I'm going to always focus on the upside.
Right.
It's like, man, you have, though, the sky's the limit on the progress you can make.
You're right about that.
So you've known about the right things to do. And I was really intrigued by, you went to the doctor and found out you were pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
So so that's the other thing though. It's not about, sometimes I don't want to know. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to know. I'll be honest with you. I mean, listen, I do this. I talk about myself.
I know.
And I'm just like, oh, okay, here we go. Let's talk about, I get on telemedicine. I work with one of Dr. Gabrielle Lyons, practitioners. And I'm like, here we go. So I just want to say that I don't really want to know myself, but it's good to know. So you
I
you
did
eat
not
a
see that
certain
coming,
way.
by the way.
You eat great, but what was interesting is in an attempt to probably not eat red meat and eat your fish, but get your protein, you added more beans.
I added grains all over the place.
Yeah.
And it was a convert. I couldn't believe it. I was like, we're going to do the blood work. And I was all excited. Like, are we getting my blood work done? My blood work. It's going to be perfect.
I'm going to get A's and gold stars.
It's going to be perfect. Again. Here I am. So I was ready to go. I was looking for my star. And then she came back and she was like, so let's talk about this. You are pre-diabetic, right? And I was like, what? that can't be right. That's like, clearly you've gotten the test mixed up with another patient. Yes. And so she said, well, tell me what you're doing. And I'm like, all I'm eating is like, I need tons of protein. How are you getting your protein? And I was like, quinoa, beans, chickpea pot. And I went down the whole, it was basically like feeding her the lines, like, here you go, here you go, here you go. She was like, okay, let's talk about that. And then broke it down for me. And I went, okay, well, now you got to come on the podcast and talk about it all, because that was a lot of information that I can't remember. And, but yeah, so I didn't realize that.
So how'd you tweak it?
Well, I stopped that. I did. I haven't done a lot of those things. I still do. I don't ever do anything full out, because I know I'll go back and just cheat, and that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I've really upped now the fish and really up the protein again in the morning.
Like a supplementation?
The supplementation.
Yeah.
Because at least that's kind of got the whole protein and the essential
profile.
Yeah. And so that's not, I was doing that before, but I've doubled up on that, because I know that I'm not going to eat double the amount of fish. Like, it's just not going to happen. But I cut down on the grains because I was never even, I was a vegetarian for a long time. So, when you talk about things right or wrong that I've done, it was one of those many things. But as I came back and I started eating fish about, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, because I did know protein, back in there, I needed something. Also, when you're vegetarian, it's really hard. You go to a restaurant and you're on the menu and you're like, none of that, none of that, none of that. But it's tough. It's a struggle for me. It really is.
Do you eat
I don't
eggs?
love fish. I do. Okay. Yeah, I do.
Eggs can be great.
I do. I know. I do the hard boiled eggs and I leave them in there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat all these. And then I go to my husband, like, finish these, because they've been sitting here now for 2 days. I don't want them anymore, but they're, I do. I know the eggs and I try to do that as best as,
I really appreciate you sharing that, because I think sometimes people think, oh, if you know that you're never going to keep readapting and rechanging and looking at things. And so just to remind them, like, it's an ongoing story.
It is.
That we're going to, keep doing. I thought it was so fascinating that 1 billion women in 2025 are in menopause.
Yeah.
1 billion.
Yeah. I was stunned globally. And
your timing is awesome. Your timing.
Well, it was just, I read this, but I read this years ago and that was what really startled me. And it's very funny. So at the time I had no idea anything existed about it. And I called a friend of mine who was, years before, she had done this business for women's, like it was an oil, like a lube. And I was young. I was young. I was 32 or 33. And I'm like, I don't know. Who needs that? How old are you when you need that? And so full circle, I called her, when I heard this in like 2021, and I said, did you know that, there are statistics that say 1 billion women, it was like 1.1 billion are going to be in menopause by 2025. And this is 4 or 5 years ago. And she said, yeah, I know. I've been trying to talk about this. She's like 10, 15 years older than me. And I go, I had no idea what you were saying all that time. I had no idea. What would I be doing with lube? Like, I had no idea. Like, it was just, it made no sense to me, vaginal, anything. And so fast forward, I just started talking about it on social. And then these, like, I got so many answers on TikTok. I went to TikTok first because I didn't know if I wanted anybody at work to hear about it or to wrapped up in ageism. And right. And then I started talking more and more about it and then realized, like, oh, this is real. And there's a lot of women suffering. And one by one, the same story kept coming in. Same story, same symptoms, same feeling, around those words. Like, I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like myself. I feel like somebody else. And then I realized there was something going on.
I love that when you initially came out, there was like the 34 symptoms or something like that, but then people would lob in a few extras. I only bring that up because it's like, hey, listen, I always say we're all really special. And by the way, most of us are going through something similar.
Yes,
like, meaning it's like, hey, both. For the people that love you, you're really important. But by the way, whatever this thing you're going through, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to pretend to be perfect. And like, I must be the only one. You're not.
You're not the only one. It's just that we just never talked about it, which was insane to me. I feel like after all those years in television and doing news and doing stories and doing heart studies and hair studies and skin studies and every study you could ever do. Like, there's a new diet. We never said there's a new menopause treatment, because there wasn't one, so it's been very eye-opening to me and one of the most personal stories I've ever been a part of. And just, I had no idea how it was going to unfold. Like, talk about following your gut. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
I really love that you talk about the dating and then all that you've gone through in the menopause, but that also you did marry again.
I did. Yeah.
I mean, I just, there's something about that. I thought, oh, this is interesting because now you also have additional parts of your story that you can share. Were you reluctant? Did you think after going through a painful divorce, were you like, yeah, I'm probably not going to ever get married again?
No, I said, I am definitely not ever getting married again. There was no probably. And in fact, on our first date, because the first date we went on, I brought my friend. I was like, can you just come with us? Because she had introduced us.
So you're willing to date?
Well, I went out. I was going to dinner. Okay. And I was going to dinner between shows, which meant I had a limited amount of time. And so I did date. Like I dated on and off, went to dinner, back and forth. And like, yeah, I was seeing guys.
Were you looking for companionship? Were you looking for, what were you looking for if you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to be married? Were you looking for sexy time? Like what were you looking for? A little
like good sex and maybe a fun night out or go to a Broadway show, go to a great dinner. Yep. But I was definitely not looking like dun 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 dun. Let me pick up my dress. And that was definitely not it. And so when I met Ira, it was after the show one night. Everything was around my schedule now at this point because I'm like, oh, you want to go on a date with me? Okay, 11:20, I can meet you after the newscast. And so that's what I did. And so he came and met me and it's like, God bless him because he's just he's so kind. And I said, I just want you to know at the end of the night, I'm like, I'm never getting married again. And he was like, okay, well, I don't know that I'm going to get married again either.
Had he been married?
Yeah, he'd been married for 28 years.
Okay.
And so he said he had 2 grown kids. Mm-hmm. And he said, all right, I'm not looking to get married. Just like to get to know you. And I was like, okay, I just want you to know. Because I was very
right after the handshake.
I want you to know who I am. Because when you go from this side, now you're on this side. And so I was like, okay, I just don't want to have any misconceptions. Yeah. And then, fast forward 3 years, maybe 4, 3.5 years, and pandemic hits. And now he was in New York more. And now we move. He's there more. Now he's living with me.
I was going to say living together.
Yeah. Ooh. And so we wound up getting engaged that summer. And it was no question. Like I never had any question of like, how did I go from I'm never getting married again to yes, I can't wait to marry you. I don't know how it happened, but I do know how it happened. It happened because I felt safe and because I felt excited and because I really loved being around him. And I would hope he would say the same thing about me with, some exceptions of me being extremely, type A. But we have a good time together and it's fun and it's not, I never question it. I never go to a friend and be like, I don't know, maybe I made a mistake or, should I, or could I, or would I, or what do you think about this? I never hear myself do that. I mean, do we have a little back and forth? Of course, we're human, but it's fun. And like, I'm always looking forward to the next day. And that's kind of a nice place to be versus, oh gosh, I can't wait to get out of the house before he wakes up. And because I've been in those too. And that's brutal. Brutal. Those are brutal. They're brutal.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a weird question, but because I think a lot of women go through it. So let's say you date and you are a little bit older. Oh my gosh, the only reason I ever thought about this is one of my daughters said this to me once, and I was like, "That's weird," and what a strange thing to say. We were in my bathroom. This is probably like 5 years ago, and I'm still pretty fit.
Yeah, and I would say very.
She said to me, I was in my underwear, and she goes, you could still get naked in front of a different person like that, like saying like this weird thing, like if somehow her dad and I didn't get together, I'd still be, I was like, ew, thank you. And then I thought, oh shit, like what about for somebody who's like, I was in this long relationship or I haven't been around somebody and I haven't been naked. Is that like, is it just you have the chemistry and so it just all feels natural and it's fine? Is it like, I'm just so curious, like how does that dance work when you're putting yourself out there again?
Getting naked?
And you're just like, okay, getting naked again. You know what I mean?
It's a dance. When I first got divorced, I did what every Sex in the City, every other Sex in the City episode had. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to date for fun. So I dated younger, a guy that was younger, like 10 years younger. And so then I felt like immense pressure because he's younger. I was like, what was I thinking? But then I was, I'd gone through like the divorce. I was completely stressed. My body like actually was okay.
Trauma trim.
Yeah, I was like doing all right. But I do remember with Ira, I remember thinking like, oh, it's been like a long time. I actually really like him. Like that guy.
Intimacy.
It was intimacy.
Yeah.
And so I do remember it being very like, oh, we could just turn this lamp off. And so it took a while. It took longer, for me to, and he's older than me, but it still took longer because I felt this, pressure. My body had changed at that point.
Yeah.
I'm in perimenopause. So like my period just comes whenever the heck it wants. And I was seeing the changes. So yeah, it's different. I mean, I would hope that if I had a daughter, she would tell me I could still get naked in front of somebody different, but I don't know.
But clearly you can.
Clearly I did. Clearly I did.
But I just think sometimes it's
That's a very funny remark. I love it.
Destigmatizing any of this bullshit because it's like,
come on.
I joke with Laird sometimes. I go, hey, listen, someday like you will, I mean, if we're lucky, be having sex with like an older woman. He goes, oh, that's what light switches are for, like joking around. And I think, that works both ways.
Yeah, yes, it does. But I hope that women are becoming more confident about their bodies as we continue to have that open conversation. And I know that I've had a lot of men come up to me talking about all of it, like sex, menopause, at a dinner party or at a restaurant. So I do feel like we're getting out there and having that. And I think that is definitely going to parlay to the bedroom into how we see women differently and how we see men differently and how we see all of this where it's not so like, this is what it's supposed to be. And this, I'm supposed to tell my 20-year-old self and, be perfect and slide into bed and it's romanticized and all that. So.
Yeah. And sexuality is a very layered and complex and I think sometimes we've put too much on like just the body and it's like, no, man, like sexuality is a deep. Oh,
it's in the mind. Oh,
yeah.
No. It's deep.
Yeah. And I think for an older woman who can say, hey, actually, could you do this or go there? I think men would be so grateful.
I think so
to
too.
have someone who can go,
You're
hey,
welcome.
I can tell you what I need versus when we're younger, we're so afraid to go like a little over there, up, a little down.
Yeah. We're very afraid of that.
So afraid.
And I hope that makes women more confident to first get to know themselves.
Yes.
In that way, because I do think that sexually you should get to know yourself in a big way, especially if you're going back out there and especially if you're in a relationship where you feel like it's not, it's not serving you in the way it should. Yeah. And it really should.
Yeah.
I think
you should be allowed to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean like every single time. By the way, there are times like, hey, I'm not in the mood to like go through the whole thing. Like I'm down to get down.
Yeah.
But I don't even need to get off.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, I'm down to just connect with you and let's go,
Right.
So I think people have to, realize, all,
and not be
all the
insulted
things.
or offended by it either. Like not be insulted if somebody tells you what they want or what they don't want.
No, that's a gift. That's a gift.
It's a gift in a big way.
It's a gift
in a big way.
So if a woman is saying, hey, I'm ready to get back out there, maybe she's a little older. Where do you think, does she need to go to the apps?
I don't know. I always hate to recommend that because I feel like that's an extra pressure. I think if you want to, if you have a friend that wants to help you put yourself up there and like look it over, sure. But I do feel like being out there and being open about it and being out there to meet people because let's forget about love and relationship for a second, but just meeting people because you never know where that brings you. Like it did work for a long time before the apps. Yeah. Through friends, through, of being willing to meet somebody. And that is how I met Ira is that we were standing in an elevator bank and the friend I was with knew him and introduced us. That was literally it. And, even though I insisted I was not getting married again. But that's how we did originally meet, and I do really believe there is something to that. And I don't think that should be overlooked just because apps are the popular thing or, swiping right or left is the most popular thing. I think that there's something to it. And I kind of like that. And I think it kind of does cut through some of the BS, quite frankly, because you sort of know that right away. And I would say that even if that person doesn't seem right for you, you never know who they know. And so I think it's really important to just go and I don't care if it's going out for a coffee or a drink. It doesn't have to be a full dinner. It doesn't need to be that you go get a bikini wax because you're going out to dinner. Like, make it short and sweet, but at least you're out there, out seeing people.
I love that. Remind people all of the places they can consume so much. I mean, you have done so many things. There's How to Menopause. I mean, you've got the new single Finding, Why Hasn't He Called, which made me think of like, he's just not that into you.
Yeah.
The whole thing. I mean, on and on. You have your podcast. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And just direct people to all the places.
Yeah. Anywhere on social is Tamsen Fadal and tamsenfadal.com. And it'll link you everywhere, whether it's the documentary or the books and the podcast. So, and the Tamsen Show, I would love to have you on.
I would love to come there. So Tamsen, my last question, I think about this every day. Like, you're here, you got out of bed today. Mm-hmm. When you get up in the morning, what gets you out of bed?
I have said this a couple of times because I really have realized it's happening, is that what keeps me up late at night, what gets me out of bed early in the morning, is continuing to communicate this message and helping women. And I see like the age get a little bit younger and a little bit older and go on both sides. And so I think that gets me out of bed in the morning. Like I'm real appreciative of being able to use my voice that way. Because for a long time I was using it to tell stories and tell the news, but my heart was not always into every single, crime that I was reporting on. And so to be where I am today, I feel really lucky to do that. And I feel lucky to be able to get out of bed and feel good doing it at the same time. Yeah. I think that gets me out of bed. And then, I have a small family, but really special. And, I've got my brother, my sister-in-law, nephew, dad and husband, and my bonus kids from him. And so it's really nice. It's nice. I'm in that place right now where everything is kind of humming along. That sort of, it's all okay and pacing along, and it feels good.
Yeah. And I'd be remiss not to highlight the fact, though, that because you took risks, even deep into your 40s, this is also why it is where it is now. So I don't want people to stop taking risks in their lives. Yes. And I want them to start by taking risks in their 20s. And it's sometimes harder if you have little kids. So you go through these patches where you're kind of in this different framework. But that there's absolutely no reason why we can't continue to take risks, because you have now created a whole new chapter in your life. Thank you. That's because you were willing to try something different and new and followed what was inspiring to you.
Thank you. I also think that, sometimes we look at people at the, where they are now versus like what it's gone to get through there. So I never want people to feel like, oh, I don't know how I'm ever going to get to that. Like I didn't even know what I was getting to, And so I do think that sometimes we don't see the entire journey along the way. And I think it's important to be aware of that. Like that there are those days that I would get out of bed and I'm like, did I quit my job? Like, I couldn't, some days even now I'm like, oh, I did leave. Okay. All right. It's on you. But that's an exciting part too. Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Yeah. Not always easy, but it's exciting.
Tamsen Fadal, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure. It really is.
Thanks, everyone.